I want to thank you for joining me for a moment. This is a brief message on a very important subject. First of all, I am Charles Miller. They call me Mr. C. And this message is to my ministry road partners that join me every morning in the group, the Ministry Road with Mr. C. The subject I want to talk to you about right now is the storm on the horizon. The storm arising. It has to do with three key players, and I'm going to talk about what is going to eventually build up into the rapture of the church takes place, the rapture of the saints, rapture of the church, and then it will play out into 7 years of tribulation and ultimately the battle of Armageddon, which would take place 7 years from now. It would end 7 years from now if it took place right now. Everything in Bible prophecy has taken place in order for that biblical event to happen. Nothing else. We need to wait for nothing further, is what I should say. There are three key players in the role that would cause this to happen. And the storm that's arising, you can always see if you're on the water. You can tell that the wind changes, the temperature changes, the water begins to get rough instead of glassy, and you can tell that there is a storm on its way. We can see that in the global economy right now, the global pandemic that's taking place right now. But the three key players in this entire role, in order to come to what we would call a one world government, a one world order, global government, would be the United States, China, and Russia. The United States is a key player for many obvious reasons, but I'll explain it to you. Right now, the coronavirus has developed another strand that has come out of Australia and the UK, and it has totally shut them down just recently. The coronavirus is one of the examples and one of the prerequisites for what would help establish us into a one world government. It is the only thing that could probably have happened that we could not have dreamed of that could shut down the United States economy. China wants a piece of the United States by all means. Russia and China are at the bargaining table right now, deciding if they could be allies against the United States for selfish, self-serving reasons. And the United States right now is the bodyguard of Israel. And there are two countries that God did put together, that he put together for his purpose and because of him and for his purpose, and that would be Israel and the United States of America. I've explained this to you in some previous sermons. So let me get down to the brass tacks of this. The coronavirus is the only thing that would shut down America's economy. America is the breadbasket of the world. For one thing, China has 1 billion mouths to feed. They need our grain, they need our resources. To put it plainly, they need our food. The only way that they can get a piece of the United States is to bring us down internally and to bring us down, our economy down, which is what they are doing right now. I don't believe in any way that the coronavirus was an accident whatsoever. They was able to cut their nose off to spite their face, should I say, in order for everybody to hurt, but primarily the United States of America. And they would be able to sustain, and the United States would go to a socialistic form of government, and that would play right into the hands for a one world power. The Bible talks about in Revelations chapter 16, verse 16, it talked about an army that would establish itself for the great mother of all battles, which would be the battle of which would be the battle that would take place, the battle of Armageddon. China talked about a 200,000 man army. Back when that prophecy was written and prophesied, I don't think that there was nearly 200,000 people on the planet. Right now, China can boast of 1 billion people population, and India, if they pulled India in on it, India has another billion people. Certainly China can man a 200,000 man army, and India could as well. But China is our main focus right now. The Bible talked about the kings of the east crossing the Euphrates River in Bible prophecy to establish the Battle of Armageddon, and which would take place in the Valley of Megiddo. Those Asian nations that would cross the Euphrates River. So somehow in geography, the Euphrates River will dry up because of drought and things that would happen to cause that to take place. The leaders of the kings of the east, Revelation chapter 16, verse 16. The Valley of Megiddo. When Napoleon stood on this piece of real estate, he described that battleground right there, that real estate right there, would actually be the most perfect place for a war. It is the most perfectly positioned geologically and physically and all those things for a great battle. It is positioned, it is 20 miles long and 14 miles wide, the perfect place for a valley. Our newly elected president, now President Trump, let me just tell you about global economies as far as the United States is concerned. There was no way through many, many years of trying in politics that China or Russia could take down the United States of America. Well, one reason that they couldn't, because God was on our side. We had a covenant with God, and I hate to say the word had, but that covenant with God that we signed and that we agreed upon when we founded Jamestown, and I explained that to you in an earlier sermon, that 400 years of time span between that a covenant usually transpires ended at the end of our 42nd president, and there was some reasons about that. That is another sermon. But anyway, so our covenant has ended, our protection has ended unless we turn to God and keep God. We were supposed to be a bodyguard for Israel and a safeguard for Israel. And the United States of America, a capitalistic economy, can no way support a socialistic government. It's not for it. It doesn't play well together. So our capitalism has got to come down as a necessity for a one world government, with the United States being the main player that would stop that and halt that from happening. So the taking down of the United States of America is a must. President Trump was the player that God put in there that would stop that and would halt that situation from happening. Maybe God wanted some more time. Maybe God's given us some extra time to come to him, to serve him before all of this takes place. President Trump did play a major role in stopping that, and stopping the trade to China, in stopping any kind of a socialistic form of government. However, the powers to be, when you try to drain the swamp, sometimes it doesn't drain quite that easily. Our newly elected president, and I'm not making this a political sermon or message, but just take it for whatever it's worth. It is what it is. Our president-elect, by all means, wants to shut down fracking so that we are more indebted to China. You know by way of news reports that he is very much a friend of China, does business with China, and plans by all means for us to be allies with China and not to do anything to hurt China. That is his goal, which he vowed to do. First of all, I can say that I do have an acquaintance, a friend of mine that is a CEO of a mammoth company that is involved with fracking and is part of the largest company worldwide in fracking of natural gas. That being said, that company alone right there employs tens of thousands of individuals in that industry, and there is more natural gas under the United States of America alone where we would never ever need China for anything of that sort whatsoever. So that being said, Biden vowed to end fracking and stop all this, and that we would be indebted back again to China, making us vulnerable, and he wants to bring in a socialistic form of government, and we would go in the same direction as the old Roman Empire did, and I explained that too in a further message, but I'm not going to get into that right now. So, in order for the Battle of Armageddon, the approaching storm, to take place, a few things have to happen. Number one is the economy of the United States has to be shut down. As we know it, China has all intentions of overtaking our economy, they said, in less than 4 to 5 years. If as things are going right now. So, all of that being said, the Bible talked about this, about the great battle that would take place. The great battle that would take place. So what I'm trying to tell you right now in a nutshell is this, that God is preparing Christians right now. The rapture of the church is on the horizon. All of this is coming to a place where it can happen. The rapture could take place right now. Jesus said in his word, he says that when I come, will I even find faith? When the rapture of the church takes place, when he arrives, will there be any faith left on earth? It was sort of a sarcastic statement, and a point being made that many people would fall away from the faith, as many people did. Daniel and in Revelations talks about the kingdoms of this world becoming the kingdoms of God. That will take place at the end of the Battle of Armageddon, at the end of the 7 years of tribulation, when the great millennial reign is ushered in, and you know I talk about that a lot. So basically, I wanted to tell you this right now. It's just an FYI. I wanted to teach and give to you some insight as to what is going on right now in the world and what part the Christians should play or could play. What we need to do is pray. We need to usher in godly men and godly people, and not bow down and fall to the principalities and the powers of the darkness that rule this world, which is Satan and the devil and those diabolical spiritual beings, should I say. So anyway, this is Charles Miller. I'm Mr. C. I wanted to give you just a little insight as to what is going on right now. A one world government. It is a storm on the horizon. I believe that we can see the waters starting to get rough. I believe we can feel the change in the temperature of the air. You can smell it in the wind. You can see it in the wind. You can feel it in the air. And what you see happening around us is exactly according to Bible prophecy. So this is Charles Miller, Mr. C, on the Ministry Road. I have some other end time prophecy, end time messages, should I say, that I'm going to keep you up to par on, to just kind of give you an FYI as to what's going on. Thank you for joining me. Do me a favor, if you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe and make a comment and share this as well to all of your friends on your Facebook and social media. Appreciate it.